It's here, and if you stay to the end of the video, I'll show how you can get this for a month free. Welcome to Spacecraft Guide, the channel that goes over the most iconic spacecraft in the world. In this issue of Spacecraft Guide, we are going to continue on our work with the lunar lander with panel 8, which is all the explosive devices subsystems. And we are going to work on this switch over here, the descent vent switch, which is very interesting. So I think you're going to like this one. So when we click on it, it takes you to the explosive device descent vent switch, which is this one right here. It actuates descent, fuel, and oxidizer vent explosive valves to enable descent propulsion section venting. The switch is locked in and spring-loaded to the safe position. It's used with the descent propulsion fuel and oxidizer vent switches. On fire, it actuates the explosive valves, and safe, it removes power from the explosive valve. So this way is to make sure you don't fire it. And this way is when you definitely want the valves to open. And there is a reason for that. Now, if we go to the schematics, we'll see down here we have the descent propellant venting. And what happens is when that goes from safe to fire with the main master arm switch here, it opens the descent propellant venting. But to get a better perspective of what this valve or this switch really does, let's go into the schematic of the engine itself. Now we are in the main propulsion, descent propulsion section, explosive valve, and simplified function diagram. So we're actually in the main propulsion section. And down here, you will see the vent valves, one for oxidizer, one for the fuel valve. And those come into these relays here for the descent vent. And the descent vent does both the oxidizer and the fuel vent. So what we have is the cryogenic helium is operating right now, and you'll see the valves, they go down through the check valves, make sure that they go through this way. And once they get on the ground and they land, that's when the astronauts are going to throw this switch from safe to fire. And what that does is that gets rid of all the nitrogen in here, so it doesn't push the oxidizer and fuel into the engine. So basically, this is a check to make sure that once the astronauts are on the surface of the moon, that there's not going to be any way that that engine is going to fire up even a little bit, because if they did when they were outside walking around the spacecraft, it could be very detrimental to the mission. Today's the day. It's the day that you can join the Spacecraft Interactive Virtual Museum, and you can get the whole month of July for free. So what do you get? Well, there are 3 memberships. You have the historic spacecraft for $4, up to the present spacecraft for $7, and into the future for $12. So what basically you get in historic is all the spacecraft that have gone up to this time. So you get Apollo, you get the shuttle, and then you find out how I work on it, and then you can give me feedback. And then you can also get some merch that's coming up, some stuff that we're gonna do as apps for the spacecraft. Up to the present, that gets everything in historic and includes the International Space Station plus private access to me creating the panoramas so you can see what I am doing and how I'm doing it and get an idea of what it takes to make this. And then finally, $12 a month into the future. So not only do you get historic spacecraft, not only the International Space Station up to the present spacecraft, but you get Artemis and going to the moon. I use my resources within NASA to get the imagery within the Artemis spacecraft. So you'll be able to see what it takes to go to the moon today. And we are going to the moon, and we're going to stay. And again, you also get me showing you how I do the panoramas. So sign up today. You've got all of July free. So if you sign up today, which July 1st, you have the whole 30 days. If you join July 2nd, you get 29 days. So the sooner you join, the more time you have to explore for free. And then if you don't like it, you can just cancel. That's all for this week. If you would like to use this interactive virtual reality exhibit on the command module, the lunar module, and the surface of the moon, just go to our Patreon page and the link will be down below.